What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Rumpier Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. We're breaking down the pretty small 6-game slate today. As always, we'll go through, talk to pitchers, talk each position, and kind of get you guys on the winning path for this MLB DFS slate tonight. Only 6 games, though, like I said, so we'll have some time to shoot the shit and maybe take some questions and stuff at the end, depending on how quickly we go through. As always, I'm Monday, joined by my boys DC and Titletown. And, we've been joking all the way through the playoffs here, the NBA playoffs, but Titles teams just continue to impress. The Suns dominate yesterday, and then his Bucks squeak out a Game 7 victory. You got to be feeling good, right, bud?
Couldn't be going any better right now, to be honest. I mean, Suns Bucks is what I've been hoping for, and it's looking like that's what's going to happen. At least big favorites right now for us to see that. Man, I mean, Milwaukee. I haven't Saturday Game 7. I haven't seen Milwaukee like that ever. It was just a crazy experience. What a game, and I mean, what a game on both sides. Kevin Durant, absolutely. I mean, this guy's unreal. He's out of this world. Beating him. Obviously, Kyrie getting hurt helped a little bit. Harden wasn't fully healthy, but a win's a win. Props to KD, props to the Bucks. It should be a lot of fun. Playoffs have been fun.
Yeah, I mean, your Bucks are running absolutely incredible. Your Clippers or your Suns team running incredible. I mean, the Bucks, I mean, that's just – if they somehow pull this out and win the championship, I mean, dude, they're just not a good team. Whatever. We'll see. No, seriously, they're terrible. I mean, if there's Durant and one other of those guys healthy, it's like lights out, probably a 4-game sweep. But DC,
someone has to win the championship.
No, it's not a 4-game sweep. And Giannis,
yes, it is.
No, and Giannis dropping 40 and 10. I mean, this isn't the same Giannis. Like I've been saying, he still has a lot of improvements, but there's no Big T's tweet about Ben Simmons and
free
Giannis.
Throws. Literally airballing free throws.
And then he's taking KD in the paint down low in OT and giving him a little work. He's doing his thing.
They would have gotten swept for sure.
No, not swept.
Do you think do you think the Hawks have any chance against the Bucks?
No, I don't think so.
I don't really think so either.
No,
unfortunately.
Bucks in 4.
I mean, yeah, I give the Hawks credit though. I mean, that's impressive. Yeah. I mean, it does help when Doc Rivers is on the other side though, and he's just like he's got to be he's definitely one of those coaches that's just so clueless about everything.
That has to be the end of this kind of current version of the Sixers, right?
Oh.
Simmons got to go. I mean, that's all the chatter today. I realize, it's one day later. It's easy to overreact to things, but we've just seen it too many times with this team. Yeah. I think at some point you got to, put Embiid with a real point guard, a guy who can shoot, a guy, who can actually run pick and roll and be a threat to make threes off of that. So I hope we see a different version of the Sixers going forward. And I don't know though. I don't know what Ben Simmons will get you, right? Because he's got a max contract. It's not like you're getting a discount there. So I'm sure some team will take him, but I don't think they're going to get like a lot of assets for him or anything like that.
Can you imagine being like another NBA organization and watching what Simmons has done in the playoffs every year and say, yeah, that's the guy that I want like running my offense? I mean,
a team is going to do that though. Some team is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, but man, like he's just awful. Like he's Title. What's your take on Simmons here?
I've been saying it forever. I mean, no Simmons-led point guard team is ever going to get anywhere. I mean, yeah, he's not a good player right now. A lot of it could be mental. I mean, I was looking today, like there was summer league highlights that showed up when he was pulling up for mid-range jumpers and hitting them, and just like his game changed so much. I don't know what it is. I think it's a lot mental. I'm not a Simmons guy, never has been. Unfortunately, the slander. I mean, he can't come back to Philly after Doc Rivers pretty much threw him under the bus. Yeah. Embiid pretty much threw him under the bus. Rightfully so, sure. But I mean, like Gobert, he was pretty much the same way. He got picked on all series and he didn't get this type of slander. I mean, I agree. The slander it's worth it. Simmons isn't good, but there's no way he can come back after the press conferences yesterday too. I don't know what's right for him though. I don't know if there is a fit. He needs a lot of work to his game.
Well, it's the same as a guy like Gobert. I mean, some of these position guys are just getting fully like exposed. Like a guy like Gobert, it's just he's not going to win you anything like ever, and like he turns into a liability out there against smart coaches. And made fun of Ty Lue a lot, but he did the right things against Gobert. I mean, got him switched up on these guys, and they literally out on an island cannot do anything defensively. I mean, the Jazz, like number one seed, or what did they finish? Second seed, whatever.
No, they're one.
Yeah, one. How do they come back next year with that same squad? Like they're going to get ran out of the gym again. I mean, it's just very simple. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, but it's certainly not the Final Four that we all anticipated.
Well, what's funny is this was the Jazz and the Sixers. This was their chance, right? All these other teams have all these injuries. Everybody's down, and you kind of got your fully formed version of your team. You're pretty healthy, right? And you can't get it done even against hampered squads that. We're going to see better teams next year, right? Like the Warriors could be back. I mean, the Lakers could be back. And this was their chance, and they couldn't get it done. It's got to be kind of devastating for those franchises.
Yeah, and the Bucks are going to get to the finals. And unfortunately for title, all these other teams are going to rise up. And the Bucks are still going to be the same, and they're just going to get absolutely smoked next season.
I've heard this Bucks slander from you guys the whole time, and they're still standing, looking like they're getting the finals. So I'll keep taking it.
No one has run better. No teams have run better than these title-back teams in the NBA.
You're still doubting the Suns. There cannot be any doubt with this Phoenix Suns team anymore. You got to take your L on this. That's a really good basketball team. Very well coached. They have the pieces. There's
not ready to admit that. I do like their coach, though. I will say that he's done a good job. He's definitely done a good job. But I think I took my L last Monday, didn't I?
Yeah, but you're still talking about they're running good and this and that.
Yeah, because they're just the better
team. No, they're the better team in every series.
They've run so good. We'll see. And it's not over yet, but it's not over. I still think my Clippers have a chance. We'll see.
Slide in line. I should have got them before. I didn't know you were on the Clippers.
Yeah, all right. Before. You offering up? You offering up the same odds as the Bucks?
No, I saw minus 480. I saw minus 480. That's I mean, no, I can't bet that. But I mean, I'd rather bet the Bucks. I mean, at this point, they're big ones too. But I don't see the Hawks stopping them. But hey, I mean, it's been fun playoffs, game sevens and stuff. So hopefully they continue and get some good games.
Of course, it's been fun, and your teams keep winning.
Yeah, but that Bucks net series for any random
person.
What a series that was.
That was great. I mean, Kevin Durant to me is the best player in the league. I don't think
not
it's
close.
Really yeah, it's not even that close.
And for that performance, you got to give him the title for that. Yep.
Yeah, it was awesome. We had some wins this weekend, some pretty big wins, really big wins, actually, as big as they get in DFS. But we'll start out with not so big ones, but definitely noteworthy. We had a nice win in NBA last night. Our boy Hot Rod 2020. What a name. Hot Rod 2020. I like that one. $8,500 in NBA last night. The soccer content, Jaime and Rubio Dimes putting up just masterpieces day in and day out for this Euro 2020, which, I mean, why call it Euro 2020? It's not, I mean, I know everyone's already talked about it, but just seeing it tilts me. Like, it's not 2020 anymore. Just call it Euro 2021.
Are they doing that with the Olympics too? I think
they are. Actually, my daughter brought it to my attention. Like, why does the shirt say Olympics 2020? I was like, I see, I have no idea. So it doesn't make any sense to me. But Euro 2020, our boy FT Throwdown DC. FT Throwdown DC is the name. $17,000 in soccer yesterday.
It's not my burner. I can confirm.
You take down 17K in soccer yesterday. It's probably your girlfriend's name, right?
Yeah.
You got the 300 lineups in there. And then the culmination last night, our boy Big T had a nice sweat in PGA until his boy Bryson. That was tough to see. Man, bogey, double bogey, par, and then he throws in the quad to just end Big T's hopes and dreams of another million. But our boy Record 62 took down the Millie Maker, the 444 $4,000 one, took it down, first place, $1 million. He is a member over at Rumpier Sports. So congratulations to him. We're going to reach out to him and see if we can maybe get him on the PGA show or something on Tuesday night. So took down the Millie, absolutely phenomenal performance from him. Other winners along the way too throughout the weekend. These were the ones that kind of stood out though. But if you get a big win, get a big screenshot, send them our way, Twitter, email, in the Discord, and we'll shout you out in this segment of the show. All right, before we go ahead and hop into the pitchers, DC, just give me your overall initial thoughts here on the slate.
Yeah, I don't think it's the best slate ever, to be honest. 6 games, like we mentioned, I do prefer to have more options to choose from. To me, I guess the overarching theme is I think there's a number of different ways you can go at pitcher. I mean, I listed, playbooks in right now for premium members. I listed 6 pitchers on it, which is a lot for a 6-game slate, right? Sometimes we'll have a 12-game slate, and I'll limit that to 3 or 4. This is a slate where I think you can go a number of different directions at the pitcher. I think offense is a little bit more difficult to get unique. I mean, the Astros are going to be massive chalk. I don't know, 30 to 50% owned probably across the board on a lot of these guys. And then I really like the Reds against JSURab, but that's no secret either, right? Like I think we're gonna get a lot of people loading up on that too. So I guess, my favorite takes are the ones where I have some strong opinion or conviction maybe that other people aren't going to have, right? And that's not really the slate here. I don't really see anything that I'm going to be able to, bring to the table that nobody else would be aware of or anything like that. So you still do your best, right? There's still an edge to be had for sure. It's just maybe not as big as it might be on some other slates.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're a game theory person, you like fading the chalk offenses. I mean, it's very clear. I mean, people are going to play Houston number 1 and most likely the Reds number 2. And I mean, both those offenses are going to be massively owned in cash games, in tournaments. So I mean, the game theory people could potentially have a field day here. I mean, there's another game. I mean, the Brewers Diamondbacks game has a 9.5 total. I mean, both those team totals are hovering around 5, and I think we could see both those teams come in lower owned than they're not going to be low owned because we have a 6-game slate, but lower owned than we might potentially see a title. Just your overall thoughts before we hop in at pitcher.
Yeah, 6-game slate. I mean, very similar to what DC said. The one thing too, we have to monitor weather a little bit. In Baltimore, there is some concern right now. It's over 3 hours out right now to first pitch, so we don't know what it's exactly going to do, but there are some radar concerns that I'm going to be watching. I'm not really too interested in pitchers there. I know some people have been talking about Odorizzi. I mean, even without weather, I don't really want that. With weather though, I mean, there's a little postpone risk, it looks like. So monitor that, hoping it plays though. I mean, Houston's the massive chalk. They're in that game. So something to monitor. And then at Wrigley Field, 7 total between the Indians and the Cubs. The wind's blowing in, very good pitching weather. So those are the 2 weather spots. Otherwise, DC hit it pretty much. A lot of pitching options. Hitting's very condensed. So just monitor the weather. We'll be in Discord talking about it too, if anything drastic changes, if you have to get off or not.
Yeah, the Baltimore weather situation is somewhat interesting. I mean, there is a chance of a 2 to 3 hour window here where we could see thunderstorms. The percent chance kind of comes down a little bit, but we're right around 50%. So could see a delay. Or I mean, a lot of these teams have honestly. What's the worst team? The Nationals. Yeah, it's just just randomly call these games off. So something to keep an eye on for sure. Let's go ahead and talk about the pitchers here. At the top at 10-2 on DraftKings, we have Darvish clearly in play here. Definitely a high strikeout situation for him. Does draw the Dodgers offense though, which is not the best matchup. We have Montas at 9.4K. I kind of think those are the 2 at the top that stand out. Coming down, a couple of other guys that I have some interest in. Maybe if you want to, punt, go down a little bit. Jake Odorizzi, not the greatest spot, but 5.9K. Kyle Gibson, 6.3K. I don't hate, punting off, I guess. If I played those guys, I consider it like a punt. You're just looking for survival mode at that point. Don't hate maybe going that route with those guys. I'll go to you first, DC. Just talk to me about your overall thoughts here at pitcher.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I do think there's a number of ways you can reasonably go on this slate. Title mentioned the Wrigley game, really good pitching weather. We've seen really low totals between the Cubs and the Indians. 7.5 total. Cubs actually total coming up a little bit over the course of the day, but Alzolay there. Has pitched pretty well this year. Good strikeout guy. And, the Indians have a 3.4 team total in this one. So he's an interesting option at 8,900. My number 1 guy is Frankie Montas, who's been it seems like getting stronger, right? We've seen some pitchers, obviously a bunch of pitcher injuries, and then you have the foreign substance stuff, which today is actually the first day their umpires can really enforce it, right? I don't know if we'll see that tonight. I think we'll see that for sure at times this week, where basically managers have to challenge and tell the umpire to check, and So that's something to watch for. I'm not worried about that whatsoever with Montas, who gets the Rangers, who just aren't very good. I think the roof's going to be closed there. Montas is just kind of a horse. He's usually going to give you kind of 6 or 7 innings. He's going to get there in the strikeouts. He's not a perfect pitcher. He'll give up a home run now and again. Joey Gallo, I think, has got a good chance to take him deep, but I do like him over you, Darvish. I have some concerns with Darvish, his performance going forward. He's still going to be good. I think he's going to take a little bit of a step back. That last start in Colorado, obviously it's Coors Field, so you get somewhat of a pass. But what's interesting is he had pitched twice, or pitched previously in Coors Field, so you could kind of compare the movement on his pitches to his previous outing, and they were down significantly. So I'm a little bit worried about him. Obviously a fine play, though. Dodgers have a low team total. It doesn't seem like the odds makers are all that concerned with Darvish's performance. So yeah, Montas, one for me. I like the punt with Kyle Gibson next. I mean, the dude's just been super, super steady all year long. Outside of that first start, he's been a good value play for us. And you look at who he's faced, man, 3 of his last 5 starts against the Astros, and he's held his own. He's pitched in Minnesota, in Boston, and he just continues to get it done. So not a perfect matchup, right? The A's can hit a little bit, but he's at home. Roof's closed, I think. And the A's team total have been kind of falling throughout the day. So Gibson, 6,300, assuming the Astros and Baltimore game plays, I want some of those Astros bats, right? I want Jose Altuve in my lineup. So I think the savings, you can really use it tonight. So for me, Montas, Gibson, that kind of Texas, Oakland game stack pitching is the way I see myself going for most of my lineups.
Yeah, I'm definitely on board with that. And you're still, going that pairing still allows you to go ahead and spend up on some of these bats too, which you want. I mean, Houston's in a phenomenal spot, like we talked about. Reds are in a phenomenal spot. We got this, Brewers Diamondbacks game, which I think could be kind of solid as well. You can get access to all the top bats on the slate if you just go with one cheap pitcher. Title, give me your overall thoughts here at the pitcher position.
Yeah, number 1 for me is Yu Darvish, 10.2K. It's just, he's the best real life pitcher on the board. Yeah, and he's a little concerned. I mean, what DC says, I don't love to hear it. Last start, he definitely didn't look very good, but in Coors, we know how tough that is. He gets the Dodgers team, which we don't love targeting, but without Bellinger and Muncy, it's not the same Dodgers team that we know. Again, I still don't love picking on them, but on this slate, he is my SP1. Frankie Montas is my SP2 if I can go all the way up, or it is Gibson at 6.3K all the way down. I totally agree with that. Odorizzi, I'd rather find the 400 for Gibson, better pitcher's park. Odorizzi is, and I don't expect him to throw like 85, 90 pitches, so I'm concerned about the pitch count. Whereas Kyle Gibson, he's solid. Oakland, yeah, they might. Matt Olson, I'd be fine like pitching Kyle Gibson and then playing Matt Olson at first base. And someone was asking in Discord earlier how you get different on slates like this. You can absolutely do that. Play one hitter against your pitcher. I'm not expecting a 7-inning gem from Kyle Gibson, but 6.3K, it'll get you the Jose Altuve's, Christian Yelich's, other bats in really good spots. But I think Yu Darvish and Frankie Montas going all the way up and pairing the top 2 pitchers is very reasonable today, because the guys like Abraham Toro is 2.1K. Chas McCormick's 3.1K. Like, some of these hitters are just completely mispriced where you're able to go all the way up and spend up. So that's my lean right now. I want to go Darvish Montas. If I can't find a route that I love with it, I'm just going to drop down to Kyle Gibson and go over that route. I think there are some other options, but I don't play that many lineups. So I gotta narrow my pitching pool as much as possible. And those are the 3 that I'm looking at. Darvish 1, Montas 2, Gibson 3.
Yeah, go ahead, DC.
I really like the point of like the Matt Olson call against Kyle Gibson, especially on a shorter slate. Right. If it's a big slate, it's just, you kind of limit your upside a tiny bit, but on a shorter slate, you're not as worried about that. And then also the fact that Kyle Gibson's so cheap, right? So he can still give up a home run or maybe 2 to Matt Olson and still be the best point per dollar pitcher on the slate, right? If you're trying to roster Yu Darvish, I'd be less likely to try to take a one-off against him, because you need a big performance out of Darvish at 10.2K. You don't need that huge game out of Matt Olson. So I think that's a really good point. And I think your point about spending up for a Montas and a Yu Darvish, and then there's plenty of value, right? Like you mentioned, McCormick, Toro, the 2 Astros guys, both look like good plays. But I do think that will be a very popular path, right? Because if you do spend up on the 2 highest pitchers, you just automatically get led to the best value plays because you have to, because you got to fill out your whole lineup. And so you'll see kind of a lot of not necessarily duplicated, but kind of similar lineups that do that. Whereas, you know, if you go with Gibson, there's a number of different directions you can go, right? Like the Orioles have some good hitters. You've got the Reds, the Astros, the Diamondbacks, the Brewers. You can, I think, you know, teams that use like a Gibson Darvish or Gibson Montas combination, you'll see more variation in those lineups just because there's a number of different ways you can go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do agree with you there. When you're on those paths, yeah, you're gonna end up on the same sort of guys because you're gonna have to play those cheap guys if you go with the top pitchers. Before we move on to the position, guys, do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps us to continue to bring you guys these shows on a daily basis. We have the promo code going right now. If you're interested in becoming a member at Rumpier Sports, you can get the core plays from all our coordinators for each and every slate, every sport. That promo code is RPS Heater 25. RPS Heater 25 gets you 25% off your first payment on a monthly package at Rumpier Sports. RPS Heater 25. Let's go to the catcher position. And yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot of options here at catcher. The guy that's going to be the most popular, Tyler Stevenson. He's 3.7K. He's batting fourth for the Reds tonight against JSURab. I'd imagine his ownership is really, really high tonight. Another guy you could potentially look for. I mean, I was interested in Maldonado. He's not in the lineup tonight. We have Jason Castro at 2.9K. I think he's a fine option. Navarez for the Brewers, 4.4K. He batted cleanup last night. I imagine he'll be somewhere in the middle of the order for the Brewers tonight. We don't have a ton of lineups out yet, but those are kind of the guys that I have pinpointed for now. Title, what are your thoughts here at catcher?
Yeah, very similar to what you said. It's definitely not a good position, but that's why we won't be spending up a ton. Tyler Stevenson is my favorite, 3.7K against JSURab, which I really want to target today. Can get some nice mini stacks and even full stack it later. We'll talk about Castellanos, is one of the best plays on the board too. So 3.7K, I like him a lot. Otherwise, yeah, Jason Castro, 2.9K. If you want to get exposure to the best offense. Dalton Varsho, it is lefty, but you can play him at catcher against Brett Anderson, who's not very good at all either. So I don't know. It's kind of whoever you're stacking, or if you have the money for Tyler Stevenson, he's the best in the 4-hole.
Yeah, I mean, just not as it stands now. I mean, unless we get something crazy or we get another, full punt. I mean, as it stands now, to me, Stevenson's a guy, especially in cash games. I think you just kind of plug him in. I mean, if you're playing cash games tonight, his ownership will be through the roof. I mean, it's no secret. He's the guy that everyone's going to play.
It should be 100% in cash.
Yeah.
Or very close. Like, I don't think you can make an argument for any other catcher as being the top guy on this slate, at least in terms of point per dollar. I had Maldonado as my second catcher, which is a very unexciting play, but there's just nobody out there. So yeah, Omar Narvaez, assuming he's in there, he's going to be my number 2 against Merrill Kelly. Kelly gives up a lot of base hits. He gives up some power. So Narvaez is fine. And then, I mean, Castro, like if you're stacking the Astros, yes, you could go there. Do you want to use one of your 5 players on the catcher? Is kind of a question mark, I guess. It's just a rough one. I just ended up playing Stevenson, even in tournaments, even though it's going to be super popular. Wilson Contreras has power, right? Not a perfect matchup, but obviously has a lot of upside with the power. So he would be, I guess, 3rd for me. But yeah, it's kind of Stevenson, unless you're just, if you want to get contrarian, go somewhere else. Okay. But Stevenson clearly the best play here.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, once we get some of these lineups, maybe we get another full punt that's in play. But right now, Stevenson just looks like the clear play at the position. It's already a position without much upside. So, guy batting fourth, one of the highest team totals on the slate. It just makes sense. First base, Stevenson can be played at first base. Much prefer to play him at catcher, because if you don't play him at catcher and you play him at first base, you're going to be forced to find another catcher to play, and you definitely don't want to do that. Gurriel is a guy that's going to be very popular, 4.7K, batting fourth for the Astros. Vogelbach, I think, is in play at 4K flat. Christian Walker, Ryan Mountcastle is another guy. You can play him first base or outfield. I kind of like the Orioles a little bit tonight as well against Odorizzi. Just a few of the guys that I'm looking at tonight. DC, thoughts here at first base?
Yeah, I have Gurriel first. Again, I don't think that's some big shocking revelation, but yeah, for the Astros, I think he's the number one guy. I did list Matt Olson second, even though I do like Kyle Gibson. Olson just been smashing it. I'm not worried about this matchup for him whatsoever. Kyle Gibson, a pitcher that, he will challenge Matt Olson. I don't think he'll like pitch around him or anything like that. So yeah, he's number two for me. If you can afford him, and especially if you're not on Gibson, I think he would probably be a kind of a priority play to some extent. Trey Mancini, I'm with you, Hoop. I think the Orioles could be kind of sneaky here. I might have to add them to the playbook on my stack list. And then Anthony Rizzo, early on in the day, it kind of seemed like that Cubs game had the potential to be very low scoring, but I don't know. The total's been climbing a little bit, which, it's not like it's super cold or anything. I think there could be runs in that game. Savali is not that great. So yeah, I have Rizzo listed number 4 for me. There's a few other guys you can play, but those are the top 4 guys for me.
Title, what do you got here at first base?
Yeah, Gurriel's number 1, 4.7K. But if you want to get different, I mentioned Matt Olson. He's 5.7K. No one's going to play him today. And then you play him with Gibson. No one's going to play him at all. But we already talked about that. Definitely makes sense to do. Outside of him, yeah, Trey Mancini and Ryan Mountcastle. I think Baltimore, it's the best hitting park in Camden on this slate by far. And everyone's going to be on the Astros. So I don't think Odorizzi is very good, as I mentioned. Good hitters park. Orioles have been pretty good this year too. Some power. So Mancini, Mountcastle, I like that. Vogelbach, you mentioned 4K. I like picking on Kelly a lot. He's either going to hit you a bomb or he's going to strike out. But hey, you hope he hits you a bomb when you play him. He falls down the list at 4K though. And then Christian Walker is the other one in the same game against a lefty and Anderson. Christian Walker's got power. So if you want to get, Gurriel is by far going to be the most popular. I'll rank him Gurriel, Mancini, Mountcastle, and then Walker.
What's the title or Hoop? What percent owned do you think Olson will be? Like in the
5.
I think it'll be higher than that.
He's going to be pretty low because of the price tag. I think the 5.7K price tag is going to really keep his ownership down.
So that's question 1 for me. Question 2: what percentage of Kyle Gibson teams will also have Matt Olson?
Whoever's watching this, so how many people do we have watching? Because no one was gonna do it before. I think we mentioned it, but I really think it's 2%, 1%, not even one. People are watching now, but people just don't do that. They don't think you can, but you easily can. You're not expecting Gibson 7-inning shutouts. So, even
I think the best point that was made was from DC, where, that's something that you employ on a smaller slate. Like, you don't want to get in the habit of doing that on bigger slates, but we only have a 6-game slate. Like, correlation, yes, is always important, little less important on these smaller slates for sure. I think back to like the NFL slates, the 2-game or the 3-game slates where you have your defense, but then you're taking, players against you're taking skill players against your defense. It doesn't feel right, but because the slate's smaller, it's a necessity at times. Not saying this is a necessity, but it's definitely more in play on these smaller slates for sure. All right.
It'll be very unique. It'll be very unique if you do it.
Oh, certainly. I don't think Olson would have high ownership as is, and then pairing them together is going to be virtually unowned when you really look at the numbers.
All right.
Second base, tough position because the guys we want to play are pretty expensive. We got Altuve, 5.5K, India for the Reds, 5K, and then it really kind of falls off. Colton Wong as well. Big game yesterday. I think he's in play. They got him up there at 4.7K. For me, right out of the gate, initially I look at this and I want to play Altuve at 5.5K. Can I make it happen? Yeah, I think so. There's going to be enough cheap guys that we talk about later where I can get him. We don't have a ton of lineups, as I said. We only got a handful of lineups here, not even that many. So it's really hard to nail it down. But Altuve, I think, is the guy at this position if I have the money. And looking at this position, I'll probably find a way to make sure I have the money just to play Altuve. DC, thoughts here at second?
Yeah, I think cash games, you probably want to get Altuve in there and maybe even tournaments too, 5,500. But man, can't be in much of a better spot than he is, right? Against a bad lefty in Camden Yards. He's on fire. I mean, it's just, it's baseball. It doesn't always work out, but man, it doesn't get much better than that for Jose Altuve. Yeah, Jonathan India, I mean, clearly second for me, but way behind Altuve, right? When you consider how much he is, he's just not the same caliber of hitter that Altuve is. And I don't think the matchup is quite as good. So I do have him second, though. Jonathan India for the Reds leading off. I put Jorge Polanco for the Twins. I don't think we've seen the Twins lineup yet. He's been hitting pretty good. Again, I have no problem taking lefties in particular against Tyler Mahle. So I do have him second. And then his teammate, Luis Arraez, kind of a, more of a kind of a slap hitter, but I do anticipate him leading off for the Twins. And he's been good. He missed a couple weeks with the shoulder injury. I think that was probably slowing him down for a couple weeks before he went on the IL, has come back and looked like himself, right? Spraying line drives all over the field. He's 2,900. Again, I think he's more of a player that you can play on a smaller slate because, if you go 3 for 4 with 2 doubles, that could be enough to be the top scoring guy at the position, where if you get 12, 15 game slate, that's not going to be enough. There's going to be someone that has a monster game. So Luis Arraez, fourth for me again. I don't think he's in projected lineups, but I would be surprised if he wasn't leading off today.
Idle, what do you got at second base?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna waste your time. I'm playing Jose Altuve in all my lineups. If you want someone different, whoever DC just mentioned, you can play one of those guys. But I think it's clearly even if you go Montas Darvish, your third guy you plug in is Altuve, in my opinion. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, man. You look at some of his other names, just not great. I mean, if Jonathan India is, $1,200 cheaper, $1,500 cheaper. Okay, yeah, let's take a look at there. If Colton Wong's batting leadoff again tonight, coming off the good game last night, he's around 4K or 3,800. Okay, let's go there. The problem is you guys are just too close to Altuve to really make the case against him. It's a dream spot. He's hitting the ball well right now. Just makes him a very, very tough fade at this position. All right, let's go over to third base, and that's where we find our first really, really cheap, full punt play, and it's Toro for the Astros. He's 2.1K for some reason. I think 2K on FanDuel as well. Kind of the premier cheap guy on the slate. Full punt on both slates makes it very easy to do whatever you want. On DK, like Title already talked about, if you play Toro in there, and one of the other cheap guys, I can't remember who you mentioned, makes it very easy to play Darvish and Montas, while also getting more exposure to the Astros. It's going to be a very popular route in most lineups, but you can do things differently in tournaments to kind of tweak it. Suarez, 3.9K. He's batting 6th. The fact that he's batting 6th maybe brings down his ownership a little bit. I don't know. That's kind of the only two guys that I'm looking at this position as it stands right now, but that could change once we get some of these lineups that sprinkle in here throughout the show. DC, give me your thoughts here at third base.
Yeah, I mean, I think Toro will be the most popular guy pretty clearly. I think it'll be between him and Suarez, like you mentioned. Suarez kind of disappointing year, but still got a ton of power. Perfect matchup for Suarez against J-Happ. That's exactly what kind of pitcher you want Suarez to face. Not a lot of strikeouts, tons of fly balls. That's, Suarez's weaknesses is kind of mitigated, and then his strength is accentuated in that matchup. So I do like him. Toro, just notes on him. I mean, he's not much of a power hitter at all. Tiny bit of speed. He's a really low strikeout guy. He's a contact hitter, right? Kind of like a Luis Arraez, who we talked about a little bit. So, of course, if you're stacking the Astros, right? And the Astros go off at 2,100, he's probably going to be pretty solid for you. But I would want to have other Astros if I'm taking Abraham Toro, because I don't think he's going to do it himself, and the team itself is going to be so popular that playing Toro as a one-off, I think would be a poor strategy, at least in my estimation. So just a warning there, but obviously a fantastic point per dollar play at 2,100 in a perfect matchup. Other guys Drupal Cabrera is hitting a little bit. He's cheap, 3,400 on DraftKings. Manny Machado, again, rough season for him a little bit, but the upside's there at least, even against a guy like Urias, who has struggled a little bit these last few starts. And then I don't have a problem with Chris Bryant either, just been crushing it this year. So if you want like a truly contrarian option, I don't think anyone's going all the way up at third base. You could do it with a guy like Chris Bryant.
Title thoughts at third base here.
Yeah, Toro is going to definitely be the most popular, but I couldn't agree more with DC said. If you're not playing the Astros, don't play a chalk one-off Toro just because he fits and everything. I mean, he's gonna do well because you think he's gonna hit a single, double. He'll have runners in scoring position, so he can knock them in. Run, and they're gonna hit.
But then
him
you're
in
not gonna catch
them.
those Astro stacks anyway. So
yeah, exactly. Then you might as well just play them all. So I think that was a very sharp point. Suarez, he's the number 2, but that's not sneaky against JSURab either. I think Drupal Cabrera and Eduardo Escobar, they're definitely my 2 favorites outside of the chalk 2. Just Brett Anderson isn't very good. And I think this game, you can this is a very good game stack, the Brewers and the Diamondbacks, and it's going to go underowned. Yeah, it'll have some ownership, but 2 pitchers, Kelly and Anderson, that I like to pick on. If I'd have one other name out there, that's not those 4, Maikel Franco, 3.5K. He's in the 7 hole, so people aren't going to play him, but back to Baltimore, Odorizzi. I like Baltimore today because they're not going to be played. Odorizzi is not very good. It's the best hitting park. So obviously we have to monitor weather and that stuff, but he'd be my 5th option. It's clearly going to be Toro, and Suarez is the other 2 though. And the most popular.
Looking at the radar for Baltimore, my read on it right now is I think I'll be surprised if they don't get this game in completely, but I would also be surprised if there's not a delay at some point. I do think storms are coming through there. They're summer thunderstorms. Like if there'll be enough to delay the game, but then I do think they'll blow over and they'll continue it. So I did have a little bit of interest in Odorizzi, but as of now, again, we're still a ways out, but I would, Odorizzi's not going to be the type of guy that like comes back after a delay because he's only going to go 4 or 5 innings anyway. So just something to be aware of.
Yeah. Looking at this again, looks like the storm could potentially be coming in a little sooner. Before it looked like maybe like 8 p.m. Now it's potentially looking like 7 p.m. and it could be a little lengthier. So this game, to me, I agree with you. I think if I put money on it, I'd say they do play it and they get it in full. But you just never know. Looking at like the percentage chance of precipitation over any like individual hour period, I think can be sometimes a little bit misleading because they don't know when the store is, especially in the summer, because right? a lot of it's comes from the heat and it's mostly pop up and scattered stuff.
Yeah. So like you could look at that and like conclude, oh, there's a 40% chance it's going to rain all night. That's not really the case. Each hour has like a 40% chance of the storm arriving during that time period. So I'll be really surprised if they don't get this game in.
Yeah, I'm with you for the most part. Let's go to shortstop, I believe. Before we do that, though, just wanted to remind you of a few things. We have our podcast that goes out every morning. DC heads that up, brings on a guest. They break down kind of like a first look type thing, the MLB slate for the day that goes out first thing in the morning. If you haven't found it yet, Apple, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you get the podcast, just search Run Pure Sports and you'll be able to get it and subscribe. So you get a notification every time a new podcast drops. We also have that partnership going with Super Draft. If you go to Super Draft, use that promo code RUNPURE, you get a deposit match up to $100. That is Super Draft, and the promo code is RUNPURE. Shortstop. Again, a position where we don't have a ton of options as it stands. Guys that will most likely eat up most ownership here. Carlos Correa, 4.8K. All the Astros guys are going to be at the top of the list in terms of ownership today. Nothing too crazy that, to say that. We know that's going to be the case. Freddie Galvis on the other side, though, 3.6K. Batting second for the Orioles. I do think he'll also get pretty good ownership. So I'm seeing at these positions, there's 2 guys that stand out above everyone else. The ownership outside of these 2 top guys is going to be a lot pretty spread out. And that's the case here at shortstop. Craig Galvis going to get a lot of the ownership here, unless, one of these lineups comes out with elite value at the top. Another guy that I'm kind of looking at that I've been playing a lot this season is Willie Adames, 4.3K against Kelly here in that game that has the 9.5 total. So I really like Willie Adames in tournaments. He hasn't been all that highly owned this year, and he's had some monster games as well. So those are a few guys that I'm kind of looking at here at shortstop. Go to you first. Title, thoughts at the shortstop position.
Yeah, I see it the same way you do. Carlos Correa 1, Freddie Galvis 2. Tournament option, I was going to say 2 that lands right in between them in salary is Willie Adames. Outside of those 3, if you really want to just try and get off the board, if you're going with stacking the Reds, how you get different on small slates too is doing stuff on the wraparound stacks or getting the bottom of the order. Kyle Farmer's in the 8 hole. If you want to full stack them, you hope that the bottom of the order does something. J Happ's not good. So Kyle Farmer, he's not very good either, but hopefully if you get a little wraparound stack, it can make you different. And then Nick Ahmed, he's 3.3K. He'll probably be at the bottom half of the order as well against Brett Anderson's. Same goes for there. If you want to get if you're getting outside of Correa, Adames, and Galvis, you're doing it for just very low ownership. And then if you get a mini stack or something at the bottom of the order, it gets you different. So that's how I rank him. Correa's by far will be the chalk though.
Yep, I'm with you. DC, thoughts at shortstop.
I have almost nothing to add, but I do think one player that maybe you guys overlooked because he's got a red DTD next to his name, Fernando Tatis Jr. Missed yesterday, was removed, I think, early on Saturday, but he's expected to be back in there. He was lobbying to play yesterday. It was, I think, a re-aggravation of that shoulder that he dislocated in the first couple of weeks of the season. But I mean, it just has never slowed him down, right? Like I would be a little bit worried about that if he didn't just keep completely crushing it. And obviously, you know, if they were worried about it, they'd sit him out a few more days. So I know the matchup's not perfect, right? Against Julio Urias, he's not really a pitcher that we target, but still Fernando Tatis on a short slate at low ownership. The longer it goes before, you know, we get the Padres lineup, you know, if the slate starts, maybe they got to work out Fernando Tatis prior to the game and don't release this lineup, you know, until 90 minutes before their game, something crazy like that. You could get him super, super low owned. I mean, he would be low owned anyway because of the matchup stuff, but like, I'm just not that worried about the matchup. You can even run a little bit on Julio Urias. So yeah, I really like kind of paying all the way up there for maybe a less than 5% Tatis versus a 35-40% Correa. That seems like a pretty decent proposition to me. Yeah. So
well, the closer we get to lock without a lineup, I mean, it's going to bring down his ownership even more. We see it all the time. These later games, later lineups, you don't have them, the ownership comes way down on these players. And you know,
especially if that Houston game, which is the first game on the night, if that starts before we get a San Diego lineup, because then everyone's just going to play Correa.
100%, couldn't agree more. I think it has to be an elite tournament option tonight. And a lot of people don't even expect him to play. Like you said, he's got the injury designation next to his name.
And because the matchup's bad, you're not even going to like click on it to see that he's kind of scheduled to be in there because he's not like Correa. I think it will be kind of the general thought, which I totally understand. But, you know, I think we are all kind of thinking that, and that's probably what the majority of players are going to be thinking too.
Just got a message here. We will be giving away a ticket on the Up to Lock show with Big T, JSU, Holden. Our boy NYG fan 56 is giving away a $555 ticket on the premium show. So you need to be a member. You have to get to that premium show and get in the chat, and they'll be giving a ticket away. You can use that promo code RPS Heater 25 to become a member if you're not getting our Discord, but getting this show. It's one way to win the ticket. You need to be present during the show. 6 p.m. Eastern start time. They'll be giving away that $555 ticket. So head on over, become a member, and get on in for your chance to win that.
Shout out to him. People do that all the time in Discord. Nuggets is notorious for it. There are a lot of people in Discord just give back. Shout out to him. That's awesome.
Yep. So yeah, make sure that you get in, and you give yourself a chance to win that. I think it's what, 100,000 to first, I believe. I'm assuming, yeah, it's $100,000 to first. So yeah, you definitely want to be a part of that. All right, let's get to the outfield position. Then we'll get into our stacks, and then we'll get into our plays of the day. But in order to get all that, we got to get the likes up. Got about 500 watching, only 160 likes. As our boy JT Hayes says, very, very hurtful. So just to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If we don't get these up, we'll just call it a day after we talk about the outfield. So you got about 5 more minutes to really pump up those likes. Not going to look at it until we're done talking the outfield. And if it's not a satisfactory number, we're out. All right, let's talk outfield. A couple names here that are going to be very, very popular. The first, Nick Castellanos, 4.5K. Just continuing on with that Reds theme. They're going to be popular tonight. Castellanos has a very fair price tag. 4.5K is, in my opinion, a misprice. And the next guy that's going to be very, very popular is Chas McCormick, 3.1K, batting second for the Astros. He might actually be the highest owned guy on the slate. But there's some other guys on that same Reds team. A guy that we've talked about quite a bit here, Aquino, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, but 3.5K. We have the other Astros guys, Michael Brantley, 3.9K. Could see a lower ownership because of the lefty-lefty matchup. Same with Alvarez. He's 5K. Miles Straw, 2.6K, batting eighth for the Astros. So you got four Astros guys that you can play here in the outfield. McCormick will by far be the highest owned Astro outfielder. DJ Stewart batting fifth. I think we all kind of like the Orioles. Only 2.6K. I think he's a great play and probably a great pivot off those Astros guys. Cedric Mullins, I mean, he's got a pretty big price tag, 4.6K, but I like the Orioles. I think we all kind of like the Orioles. He's leading off there against Odorizzi. I'll go to you first, DC. Give me your thoughts here at the outfield position.
Yeah, I do have Nick Castellanos as the number one overall outfielder. He would be, the priority play for me. Just way too cheap, 4,500 on DraftKings. That'll be reflected for sure in his ownership. But yeah, he looks, just a perfect matchup for him. Cedric Mullins, this dude just keeps doing it every single day. It seems like at some point you got to give him some respect. I've been playing him a little bit more often. Need to play him even more than I have been. 4,600. I think you'll get him maybe a little bit lower owned. Again, I just don't think the Orioles are quite the priority play on the slate for most people. Plus, maybe some weather concerns. It's like, oh, if I'm going to risk the game, I'm going with the Astros. Not the Orioles. I could see some people having a mindset like that. I do like Ketel Marte, who's a favorite of ours here at RPS. At the Astros, it's interesting, right? Because what is there? Four guys you can play there: McCormick, Straw, Jordan Alvarez, Michael Brantley. I think all four of them are only outfield eligible. And what's going to be the case tonight, I think almost certainly, is the cheaper crusty guys are going to be the ones that are owned because they're cheaper for one, and because they have the platoon matchup. Jordan Alvarez is a really interesting play for me here. One, I think you could play him without stacking the Astros. I could see them disappointing and him still having a good game. He could hit two solo home runs. And two, if you look at his career splits, he doesn't have any. He's just been just as good against lefties as he has against righties over the course of his young career. Keegan Aiken himself has been hit pretty hard by lefties this year. So I think this is a better matchup for Jordan, better individual matchup for Jordan Alvarez than people realize. And you might get him lower owned because everyone's going to go with McCormick and Straw to save the money. So yeah, I don't like Brantley quite as much, but Alvarez in particular looks good to me. You mentioned Aquino for the Reds. He has crazy power. Again, Castellanos, Suarez, Aquino, India, just great individual matchups for all those guys. I do like Trevor Larnach a little bit. He's 2,900, got power for the Twins if you need a little bit of a punt. Joey Gallo, if you're not on Montas, or maybe even if you are, this is kind of a Matt Olson situation. Maybe you play Montas and Gibson with Gallo and Matt Olson, and you get super unique there. So yeah, he's been heating up. He looks awesome. So yeah, that's kind of my list, I guess, from the top.
Yeah, I mean, loaded position as always, a ton of different options, and honestly, on the slate, I mean, way. I mean, I know you get 3 spots in the outfield, but so many more plays in some of these other positions. And I think this is a good way to potentially get a little unique with your lineups because there's a lot of guys that like here in the outfield title. Thoughts on the outfield position?
Yeah, you guys hit almost all of them. I mean, Chas McCormick's definitely going to be one of the most popular. Nick Castellanos is way too cheap at 4.5K. Jordan Alvarez, I like a ton. Christian Yelich, I don't think you guys mentioned, but 5.5K against Merrill Kelly. I really like him today. We like picking on him. He's in the middle of the order. It's Christian Yelich, power speed combo. So he probably is my third favorite behind. Oh, Castellanos is one with the price. Alvarez and him are pretty close, but maybe it's Christian Yelich because then you can play more Astros at other spots. But those 3 are clearly my top favorites. Were you going to say something, DC?
I mean, I'm just worried about Yelich's health. He's got 3 home runs in 40 games this year.
It's I'm going to keep playing him. I know I have.
I've kind of given up on Yelich myself. I'll just say that.
All right. Hey, the people there. Hopefully, people don't play him as much. I'll play him today, and we'll see. Hopefully, I get him a little lower on. But no, it hasn't been the same Christian Yelich at all. I just like the matchup a lot too, Merrill Kelly. So
yeah, no question.
Outside of them, a Baltimore outfielder, DJ Stewart, like you mentioned. You can also play Ryan Mountcastle in the outfield and first base. So if you don't play him at first, and you can go a full Cedric Mullins, DJ Stewart, Ryan Mountcastle stack in the outfield with Trey Mancini at first and and we're not giving out lineups here or anything, but it's doable to stick out or to stack 5 good Oriole bats. And that's going to be definitely contrarian. And I don't think Odorizzi, like I keep saying, you can get power off them. They can put up runs in Camden. So I think the Orioles outfield is underpriced. Michael Brantley, 3.9K, but I agree. He does fall down the list. I do like Alvarez more and then Chas McCormick. So outfield pool pretty good. It's going to be, Castellanos, Chas McCormick, Alvarez, Yelich, top 4 for sure. And then the Orioles, if I want to get different.
Yeah, very good. A lot of different ways to go. A lot of ways you can kind of differentiate yourself from the popular plays, I think, in the outfield. All right, let's first off, let's see. All right, good job. We're up to 215 or something like. So that's
not
acceptable.
Too bad. That's not too bad.
That's acceptable. It's a
nice
Monday.
Rally.
Yeah, people are moving slow. It's a Monday.
Little garbage time, 4th quarter rally. Well done. A little salvage.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll move on. The show continues. So congratulations to you guys for getting us there. Let's go to some stacks. It's only 6-game slate. Got to save some of the goods for the premium members. So let's say not popular. So no Astros, no Reds. Favorite stack outside of those 2 teams. I'll go first. I'm going to say the Diamondbacks. I kind of like the Diamondbacks here tonight. Shouldn't have all that much ownership. Title favorite stack outside of Astros and Reds.
Brewers, Orioles. And to be honest, I think I'll have more of them than I will the Reds too. So
yeah,
Brewers, Orioles though.
Love it. DC.
Yeah, I'll join you on the Diamondbacks train. I like them a little bit better than the Brewers, right? I think they have pretty much actually it looks like money's kind of coming in on the Brewers side of it.
Yeah.
I kind of like the Diamondbacks hitters better. And I don't know. I have more faith, I guess, in Merrill Kelly to maybe throw a good game than Brett Anderson. I just don't think – I know Brett Anderson's coming off a really strong game. I think that's just going to prove to be a complete one-game fluke. So, yeah, I really like the Diamondbacks here. And they're pretty cheap, and I think you get fairly low ownership on them. So a good team to go if you want to get a little bit off the board.
Yeah, like that call for sure. I'm definitely going to be on the Diamondbacks here tonight. If you guys didn't hear, we have a member that is giving back today on the Up to Lock show with Big T, JSU, and Holden. He is going to stake someone tonight in the MLB $555 contest on DraftKings, which has a top prize of $100,000. They're going to be picking that on the Up to Lock premium show that starts at 6 p.m. Eastern. In order to be eligible, you just need to be a member. If you're not a member, you can go to runpuresports.com, use that promo code RPSHeater25 on a monthly subscription, and then you'll be eligible. Just got to find the show, which is there's a tab at the top of the website. It says media, premium shows. Click on that, get in the show, get in the chat, and they're going to pick a member to win that $555 ticket. Let's go to our plays of the day. We're going to start with title with the SO play of the day. Who do you got for us?
I'm going to go with Ryan Mountcastle, 4.1K. You can play him at first base or outfield. I like the Orioles. He has a lot of power, too cheap. You can fit him with Montas and Darvish. You can fit him with Gibson. You can do a lot with him. So Ryan Mountcastle is the SO play of the day.
Like that. All right. I'll go to myself next with the 4X play of the day. And I believe this guy has been a 4X play before in the past and got the job done. I'm going back to him tonight. At the shortstop position, my boy Willie Adames.
I almost took him just because I knew you were gonna, but then
he just pounds.
Yeah, I agree.
He's got to be active workbench for sure. So Willie Adames is the 4X play of the day. And lastly, we're going to DC's Mom's Basement for the Mom's Basement play of the day. Who do you got for us?
Not a basement dweller, this man. I bet he's got his own nice place in San Diego. Fernando Tatis Jr. Yeah. You don't very often get to take him. You like to get a little contrarian, and normally you got a lot of ownership on Tatis. I don't think we'll see that tonight. I feel pretty confident saying Tatis is going to be under 10%, and I would actually predict under 5% for Fernando Tatis Jr. I know the matchup's not perfect, Matt. It's advantage Tatis in every matchup, right? So I'll go with Tatis, and hopefully he's in the lineup. I think he will be. If not, obviously got to pivot somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, if he's in there and it's announced kind of late, I mean, you pull up DraftKings and he's sitting right at the top, and he's got that big old red tag next to his name. Like, people are not going to be playing. I think that's just an elite tournament call tonight for sure. But that's going to do it for us. Like I said, we got JSU, BigT, Holden, up to lock. They'll be giving away that $555 ticket. So make sure you head on over, check them out. We'll be back tomorrow with the MLB Swing for the Fences show. So come on back and join us. But for Titletown, for DC, I'm Hoop. Good luck tonight in your contest.
Good luck, everybody.